You know the feeling, right? That split second where your foot just goes. One bad step, a rolled ankle, and suddenly you're limping around for weeks. We've all been there, or at least we know someone who has. But what if I told you the real danger of a simple ankle sprain isn't the injury itself?
I mean, ankle sprains are, well, they're everywhere. We're talking about one of the most common injuries on the planet. It's so frequent that we just kind of brush it off. Oh, it's just a sprain. But it turns out we might need to be looking a whole lot closer.
Because hiding behind this everyday injury, there's a risk, a really serious one, potentially life-threatening even. And the craziest part? It's almost always overlooked. And this danger doesn't even show up in your ankle. It happens deep inside your body.
Okay, so what is this silent risk? It's called venous thromboembolism, or VTE for short. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but stick with me because understanding this is absolutely crucial. So, what exactly is VTE? Let's break it down. In simple terms, it's when a blood clot decides to form where it has no business being, deep inside one of your veins. And once that clot is there, that's when things can get really serious, really fast. Think of VTE as a two-part problem. It all starts with something called a deep vein thrombosis, a DVT. That's when the clot first forms, usually deep in a leg vein. But the real danger, that's part two, a pulmonary embolism. This is when a piece of that clot breaks free, goes on a little trip through your bloodstream, and bam, gets stuck in your lungs. And that, as you can imagine, can be absolutely catastrophic.
Now look, this whole VTE thing isn't brand new. We've known for ages that it's a risk in certain situations. You know, after a big surgery, like a knee replacement, or even after a super long flight, doctors are all over it. They warn you, they give you preventative treatment. It's standard procedure. But a simple ankle sprain? Nah, that's never really been on the radar in the same way. Well, until now.
And this is where things get really interesting. A new piece of research decided to compare VTE events in two very, very different groups of people. And what they found was a connection that, honestly, most of us would never, ever expect. The study discovered something pretty shocking. It found that the severity of the blood clot event, the VTE, in someone who just had an ankle sprain was basically the same as in someone who just had major knee replacement surgery. Wait, let's just let that sink in for a second. We are comparing what we all think of as a minor get-over-it-in-a-few-weeks injury to a massive, invasive surgical procedure. And this study is saying that when it comes to this one really dangerous complication, the outcome is just as bad. How is that even possible? Well, to figure out how this could be, we have to dig into the data and look at the two very different groups of patients in the study and see how they both ended up in the same dangerous territory. So on one side, you've got the ankle sprain patients. And as you might guess, they were generally younger, healthier, and had fewer other medical problems going on. But on the other side, the knee surgery patients, they were older and had more pre-existing conditions. So common sense would tell you the healthier group should be at a lower risk, right? So if you've got this sicker, older group, you'd think they'd get way more preventative care. And you would be right. But the difference in care between these two groups isn't just big, it's staggering. Just look at this gap. An overwhelming 93% of the knee surgery patients got preventative treatment, what doctors call VTE prophylaxis. But for the ankle sprain patients, only 27%, not even a third of them. And that's the whole story right there. Our medical system is built to protect the high-risk surgery patients, which is great. But the supposedly low-risk ankle sprain patients? They're often left unprotected, all based on the assumption that their injury just isn't serious enough to worry about. So you think, okay, if one group gets all this protection and the other doesn't, the outcomes have to be wildly different. I mean, the unprotected group should do way worse if they get a clot, shouldn't they? Well, that's not what the data showed at all. And this is the real bombshell. For the patients in both groups who actually developed a VTE, there was no significant difference in how often the clot came back, or even in the rate of death. The severity was the same. Think about that. The ankle sprain group was younger, healthier, and got way less preventative care, but the outcome was just as bad. So what on earth are we supposed to do with this information? Well, it basically forces us to completely rethink what we call a minor injury, and it challenges everything we thought we knew about assessing risk. All right, let's boil this down to the key takeaways. First, it's pretty clear that people with ankle sprains are being seriously undertreated for VTE risk. Second, a dangerous blood clot is a dangerous blood clot, period. It doesn't care if it was triggered by a huge surgery or a simple sprain. And finally, this tells us our standard way of figuring out who's at risk is just, well, it's missing a whole lot of people who probably need protection.
Now, the point of all this isn't to make you terrified of every little bump and bruise. Not at all. The goal here is empowerment. It's about being aware that even super common injuries can carry uncommon risks, and it's about knowing the right questions to ask about your own health. And that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. Ankle sprains are just one example. If we've been underestimating the danger of something this common for so long, what other supposedly minor health problems might be out there, hiding serious risks we haven't even thought to look for yet?